Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And of course, today is Sunday, June the 15th. Which is actually Father's Day today. So happy Father's Day to all the real true fathers that are out here helping nurture, support, guide their children in the right direction. Father's Day, being a father, is not a one-day journey. It's a 365-day commitment. So happy Father's Day to all those true fathers that are out here. But I wanted to do a recap. It's been almost a month since the horrific tornado that swept through the city of St. Louis and its surrounding counties like Clayton, Missouri. It happened on May 16th. Tomorrow will be 1 month. And let's see about a true follow-up. I live here in St. Louis. My house was moderately to severely damaged. It should not have to be demolished, but it's going to take a lot of work to get it fixed. So I am caught up in the middle of it. I was not at home when the tornado took place. I was out in a suburb in West County of St. Louis, and I had no idea what had taken place until I started getting phone calls, because where I was 45 minutes away, the sky was semi-clear. It just tells you the power of Mother Nature, how it could have such destruction and devastation just minutes away from a clear sky. I was totally oblivious to a tornado warning or even hearing that a tornado was coming, and let alone the after effects were truly shocking. As I drove home later that day, I was getting several phone calls from my daughters, from a good friend of mine, my dad, asking was I okay, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And of course, by the time I got done with my meeting and got back to the city of St. Louis, all hell had broken loose. But let's get into some updates. One of the reasons I wanted to do a follow-up video is that I do in a lot of my videos, I talk about knowing who your state legislators, your city politicians, your aldermen, your alderwomen, knowing who they are is just as important, if not more important, than who is sitting in the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. via your president, vice president. Everybody gets so concerned about the hype of who the next president is going to be and whatnot. And definitely during this past presidential campaign, I think President Trump, Donald Trump, is the first president in my lifetime who resonates such emotions on both sides, whether you for him or against him. I have never seen this, the amount of vitriol, the amount of commitment for people that support Trump, the amount of vitriol for the people that don't support him it's like the pendulum goes from one way to the left to way to the right. There's no middle ground with this President Donald Trump. So many times people focus on that. Of course, there's a lot of campaigning and advertising and commercials that go into a presidential election, but many times we bypass our local, state politicians and legislators, and I don't think we hold them accountable. As I say to you all the time, I think your state, the issues that will affect you the most, in my opinion, are your local, city, and state laws and regulations. If you think about it, most of the time, if somebody, from a negative standpoint, if you think about it, most of the time when somebody gets involved in a criminal activity or gets arrested, 90% of the time it's a state charge. and it's not a federal. And so, how your legislators and your lawmakers are placing laws on the books makes a big difference on your freedom and your amendment, your constitutional amendment rights being affected by them. So, um, we always worrying about whether it's the abortion issue, which is a national issue, which trickles down into a state issue, but it's a national controversy. We worry about things like that. That's been a recent topic. Affirmative action being abolished. That was a federal issue again that trickles down to the states. But how many of us local citizens knows really how your state legislators are policing and policing your freedoms and your rights by putting certain laws on the books? And so now that we've had this terrible tornado and this devastation, what are the city leaders going to do? It has to start with the city. It happened in the city of St. Louis, then it goes to the state, and then it goes to the federal government. So the city of St. Louis has to dot all I's and cross all T's. The state has to do the same, and then the federal government with FEMA, Red Cross, and those kinds of organizations will come in. Definitely FEMA. FEMA has not been here yet. They just got here. It's been 30 days. Nothing has been done. And this is going to be a true testament for the people of St. Louis to really put the foot to the pedal and put the pressure on your local politicians to make sure that there's appropriate funding for recovery and restoration of St. Louis City and the surrounding areas that got damaged by the tornado. So where does it start? I believe it starts with your aldermen in your wards. Put pressure on them. And then what will they do? They should put pressure on City Hall and the mayor. And what is the mayor's job? The mayor's job is to put pressure on the governor, who is Keogh. And then the governor, who is the governance of the state of Missouri, should put pressure on the federal government. So let's look at it again. So from who is the governance of the United States? It's the President of the United States. It's the president. Who holds the governance of the city of St. Louis? It's the mayor. Who holds the governance of the state of Missouri? The governor. So it should go from the alderman to put pressure on the mayor to put pressure on the governor, and the governor to put pressure on the U.S. government to come and help the people that need the most help here in St. Louis, Missouri. So we're going to see how that aligns itself. So far, there's been nothing done. I mean, they did the bottled water and the food giveaways. I think that's a start, but that's not something that's going to sustain the people that need their homes rebuilt, restored. People want to get back in their houses. This is not a third world country. The bottled water and the food is a start, but this is a first world country. Nobody's going to starve to death as a result of this tornado hitting St. Louis. Are those some necessary utilities that we do need? Yes. But after 30 days, and even the free food and the free water, that's going to dry up at some point. That's not going to be sustainable. People want to be back in their homes. They don't want to be staying in a gymnasium, sleeping on a cot. They want to get back to some normalcy. And what does that mean? That means that we need funding. There's been talks about $30 million being allocated. The Aldermanic Board and the president of the board is supposed to be allocating $30 million to St. Louis residents in some kind of shape, form, or fashion. That's just a drop in the bucket. That's just like giving the water to the residents. There's an estimated $1.6 billion worth of damage, 8,000 buildings. $30 million would get sucked up in 6 blocks, let alone an entire a partial city, so to speak. North St. Louis in particular, certain parts of Clayton, certain parts of South City. $30 million is a blink of an eye. It's not even going to come close. Then there's some, you're hearing issues of rumors that the Governor Kehoe, is supposed to be allocating $100 million. Here again, when you subtract 100 million, 30 million from $1.6 billion worth of damage, it's just a drop in the bucket. And then how are those funds going to be allocated and who are they going to go to? That money is going to have to be used for reconstruction. So construction companies, brick masons, roofers, how are they going to allocate it? Will there be minority participation in these companies helping out into the restoration of St. Louis? Will it go to only white companies? Will black companies be involved? There are going to be a lot of logistics to this. But the first thing they need to do is make sure that they have the appropriate funding. You go back historically, the biggest comparison, I've never been a part of a disaster, and this is a first for me. But I do remember in May 22nd of 2011, Joplin, Missouri got hit with a very, very devastating, even worse than what happened here on May the 16th here in St. Louis. Joplin, Missouri, go look that up. May 22nd, I think, 2011, they got hit with $2.8 billion worth of damage. 160 people died. Over 4,500 homes were destroyed. There were entire schools that were leveled and decimated. And then it gets to the point of you have to question the alphabet organizations that are part of our government, like FEMA, of course, Red Cross. What are they going to do for the St. Louis residents? I have personally talked to people that were involved, unfortunately, with the Joplin tornado that hit in 2011. And straight out of the horse's mouth, individuals said FEMA didn't do hardly anything. The biggest thing that FEMA did was set up trailer parks and allowed individuals to live there for a year. They didn't help them out with funding for rebuilding their homes or help fixing them up. There is a lot of controversy about FEMA and what FEMA actually does. Is it a horse and pony show? Is it just bells and whistles? Is it just the government giving an appearance that they're going to help and that they're there for people? Here again, when individuals are going through a serious disaster, they need more than just hugs, bottled water, and some free food, and or diapers, paper towels, things of those nature. They need more than that. The hugs are important in the initial phase of it when it just happens, but the next day or two, reality sets in and you got to get to work. And we got a lot of issues going on right now throughout this entire world. When I talk about manifesting our truth in a positive way, there is a lot of chaos and disorder that's taking place. We know the Gaza Strip war with Palestine and Israel. Now they're saying that Israel went after Iran and Iran is getting involved. So that is a mess. And remember, the U.S. government has helped funding and sending resources to the Gaza Strip war. And of course, we have the issue with Russia and Ukraine. And the United States of America, the Biden administration has sent billions of dollars over there. What is our government going to do to help the citizens right here in America? You got to remember, there were 2 other disasters that took place in the last 2 years. You had Hurricane Helene that took place on the coast of North Carolina and hit Florida. That was billions of dollars of destruction. And then you got to remember a few months ago, or 6 or 7 months ago, you had the LA County wildfires. That is billions of dollars that need help. So FEMA should be on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and now that we need help here in St. Louis. Is that stretching FEMA thin? You also know that Trump was going after government waste. He went after USAID and several other alphabet organizations, saying that they are spending money wastefully. So where does FEMA fit as a staff? Do they have enough people to be in 3 different places? Mother Nature hit the West Coast or the East Coast with a hurricane, wildfire in the West Coast, and then a tornado in the Midwest. So for people that are listening, no place is safe. I never thought in all my years of living that I would be a part of a national disaster. And it hit. Just like nobody ever thinks they're going to win the lottery, and then somebody does. So it could, a freak of nature scenario could happen in a positive way and or a negative way. And unfortunately, I and many other St. Louis citizens got caught up in a negative albatross that has taken place. So what is FEMA going to do? When I've talked to the people, the residents of Joplin, they said that FEMA didn't do hardly anything. And there was definitely no money for rebuilding. Does FEMA, and from my understanding, FEMA is not going to give grant money. They may do some short-term loans. And I think there's a max on that of like $85,000 is a max that you can get. So if you had a house that was destroyed that was worth $400,000, you're in trouble. But here's the hypocrisy. We can spend billions of dollars on the Middle East with the Gaza Strip war, Russia, Ukraine, and I'm talking tens of billions of dollars. Remember when the country shut down during the pandemic? We pushed the button, the American government pushed the button and extrapolated $3 trillion, $2 to $3 trillion into the marketplace when the country shut down, if you all do remember. So is the dollar even real when we can just push a button, print, and create more? So the excuse of these alphabet organizations and our U.S. government saying that they don't have enough money or it's going to put a strain on our economy to help these individuals, these tax-paying citizens with these natural disasters is a joke. We can print money for anything else. Our debt measuring stick, it is great for the economists to talk about, but I don't even think, is it even real? Is there a debt ceiling? It seems like our debt is going straight up. And there's no end to it. This is the time when money needs to be printed if we need it to, go to our reserves and help folks out, even if it's interest-free loans. The government is going to have to do something. It's been 1 month. The citizens of St. Louis are hurting. Going back to the Mayor Kara Spence, there's been talk, so $30 million possibly going to be allocated that you got to apply for, and it's going to take weeks to see if you can get some of it. Governor Keogh talked about $100 million. Then Mayor Spencer also talked about using some of the Rams money. I think there's like $237 million that's been sitting in the bank in reserve drawing interest. When the Rams left and moved to LA, are they going to use some of that money? It's going to be real interesting to see if it's just talk. Are they going to talk about it or be about it? Love is an action and a verb, so you have to show it. Anybody can tell you they love you, but displaying it and showing you that they love you is a whole different thing. That takes energy. That takes positivity. So we're going to see where that machination of love is going to be fabricated through City Hall, through our governor. It is very important. Put pressure on your alder persons, your aldermen, your alderwomen, women. Put pressure. You need to know who your president of the automatic board is. You need to know who your lieutenant governor is. You need to know how your state Supreme Court is set up and how they are enforcing the laws on the books. Not just your U.S. Supreme Court, your state Supreme Court. Every state has their own state Supreme Court. You have a lieutenant governor. You have a governor. St. Louis is a blue city. However, the state of Missouri is red. You need to know that. This is going to be an awakening for individuals that turn a blind eye on their local politics and their local laws, because now is a time where you need local power, a local power structure, a local infrastructure to help restore St. Louis City. It has to start there. Then the federal government will come in and provide the extra aid that is needed. Lots of talk. I don't see anything happening. Very little is happening. And we'll see if this 100 million, this 30 million, part of this Rams money, what is going to be the vestibule for St. Louis citizens to even get access to it? Are they going to be turned down? You're going to take a situation that's bad and turn it into worse if the city starts rejecting these individuals that need the most help. North St. Louis is a plighted, desolate area in St. Louis. There are many low-income individuals in that area. It's amazing how sometimes things work out that way, where the people that have the least get the worst luck. And Mother Nature decimated North St. Louis like you wouldn't believe. Over $1.6 billion worth of damage. Joplin is not a rich city. They had $2.8 billion worth of damage. And that was back in 2011, 14 years ago. And they're still trying to recover. So let's see what FEMA is going to do. Let's see if FEMA is a legitimate organization. Let's see what the Red Cross is going to do. Let me tell you, by the way, and for me personally, Catholic Charities has reached out to me. The Red Cross has reached out to me, and I filled out some information. I've tried to fill out, I have not heard from FEMA, but I did get a text message about how to apply for the FEMA disaster fund or whatever is going on. And I'm having some glitches with that. So I'm going to have to call FEMA myself. I'll do that tomorrow. But as we speak, and I'm living proof, this is not an article I'm reading, this is real proof that there has been hardly anything done. And I'm tired of every weekend some organization is talking about bottled water and a free plate of food when we need way more than that. I will give a shout out to the Urban League. They have done an outstanding job, but it's not the Urban League's responsibility to restore the entire city. They are providing some hope and healing. Also, Elliot Davis, who has a Facebook page, who has spent 30, 40 years as a news reporter here in St. Louis, and particularly on Fox 2 News. He just retired, but he has a Facebook page. He's done an outstanding job of going to the Aldermatic meetings, providing information, interviewing citizens, and he interviewed somebody from FEMA that's been here a couple of days ago, providing information. Information is power. We need the resources, and we need to know how to get them. Elliot Davis has done an outstanding job. And for those who are not following him or don't know who he is, please start following Elliot Davis on Facebook. He does a great job. Elliot's got to be in his 70s. He just retired from the news station, and he doesn't have to do this, and he's doing it out the kindness of his heart. And information is power. The day you start learning, the day you stop learning is the day you start dying. And the people of St. Louis need all the help that we can find. So they're talking about, here again, $30 million that the Automatic Board just approved. That's not a drop in the bucket to $1.6 billion. There's been mention of $100 million coming out of our state government. Haven't seen that yet. And they're talking about trying to use some of the money from the Ram settlement. I think it's about $240 million. I haven't seen any of that yet. So one day turns into 1 week, 1 week turns into 1 month, 1 month turns into 6 months, and 6 months turns into a year. This time is going to go by fast, and let's see what the city of St. Louis government and the federal government is going to do to help these individuals that need the most help. Talk is cheap and action speaks. Let's see what's going to take place. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.